Hello, hello, hello. Black Bean Samson here today. About 8:53, almost 9 o'clock in the morning. December 11th. So, just on my way down to my main office. It's about 2.5 hours away. Go for a meeting. But we're going to talk about, I came across an article and wrote from the Daily Mail. I'm actually kind of like scrolling through it while I'm driving. Take a peek ever so often. See what's up with this. So this dailymail.co.uk website talking about a black Alabama girl of 9 years old that committed suicide. Now, suicide rate in the black community, as it is actually kind of low. I believe this is due to, there's a number of reasons why this is the case, compared to, like, say, American Indians. The Native Americans, they're actually quite high for some reason, compared to, like, the blacks. Why that is, that question doesn't get answered enough. But you just gotta wonder, like, what would cause a 9-year-old child to go kill themselves? Well, in this article, it talks about this 9-year-old girl being bullied. And she wasn't bullied because, you know, she looked funny or odd, or was born with something or missing something. Or in fact, she was born in the black community, which was just enough for her to get attacked. Because, at least within this article, it states that the reason why they believe that she was attacked and bullied and picked on was because she had rides from a white family, from a white person. You gotta ask yourself, what is wrong with people, especially kids? Because kids usually don't really particularly see color like adults. I mean, they might prefer and identify more with someone of their skin complexion and their future, their facial features. But that usually you don't have straight up aggressive thoughts or, you know, words towards someone that is opposite color, especially if someone that you know that looks like you is taking rides or is participating with someone that's not identifies the same. These are taught things. These have to be taught things. These kids that were picking on this young girl are the result of extremely abusive parents. And I say abusive because if you're teaching your kids, if you're acting like white people are the problem or evil people, and you're saying that and doing that in front of your kids, all you're doing is you're leading your kids to perceive the world in a certain way that when they go out there, they will act out in a certain way that's not in a positive manner. That, in my eyes, is due to abusiveness. Only abuse has the negative end result. See, if it was a positive communication. Positive communication is talking about how to overcome the problems in the black community, why the problems are in the black community, not blaming people, not blaming but yourself, learning, just educating yourself, rather than just making up stuff and pointing fingers. It's a sad day down in Linden, Alabama. I can't imagine what this family's going through. Knowing that their daughter was going through all these, or even the granddaughter, I don't know, they never said really about anything about the mother or father. So I'm guessing the mother and father are not in this picture, which is a whole other issue. Which is partially why this girl might have killed herself. That's another problem within the black community. Is that fathers are pretty much not needed. Or at least in the many of these black women's eyes. But yet when they have children to raise, oh Lord, who's going to take care of my kids? It's ridiculous. It is utterly disgusting. It is utterly disgusting on how some of these people act. It is. It just. I have direct experience. I used to live down in Clarksville, Indiana, and dated a woman named Tawanda. I'm not going to give the last name out, but she was black. She was blacker than most black people. And what's particular too is she never called herself African American. She called herself an American. She was a nice woman. There was issues there though. There's issues why I got with her. She was actually older than me. There were some issues there. She was a nice woman, but when I was around that community that she was part of, I seen how blacks treated other blacks. I seen how blacks will treat blacks who date outside of their race, quote unquote, their race. If you are an African American dating another African American, and you're in an African American, quote unquote African American, there's no such thing. You're just an American. But the ones that call themselves that, oh man, if you're African American and you're dating someone that's not of the same color, you're not part of that community. I'll tell you that. They might put on a smile in front of cameras and all that to see as those lights go out. I mean, these people are extremely evil, and they they're like lost all moral and ethic character. It's sad. It's very sad. It's very sad. One of the actually direct cause of why me and Tawanda actually separated, there was a few other reasons, but one of the main triggering of the reasons was that she liked to drink, and she had a buddy that she would drink with, and they always did it in public, and it wasn't never behind closed doors or anything, but it was someone that she's known for years, and it was a guy, and it was some guy that was part of her son's life through school or something, but they would sit back and drink once in a while. Well, that guy had some hatred for me. He had a hots for her. And because he never got with her, he was furious at me. And because I was a white boy, and he was a black man, oh boy! I mean, I just don't understand it. I mean, well, needless to say, the guy attacked me one day after trying to grab and grope onto Wanda, and she pushed him away and like actually hit him and stuff. I was like, what the bleeding? Come on now! Like after umpteen years, you're gonna act like this? Like what is wrong with you? Well, of course I get involved in it. And he attacks me. This guy was kind of a big guy too. Except he didn't expect no white boy from the northern regions to pull and throw bales of hay weighing over 150 pounds. That's what I would do. So this guy was not prepared for me. And this guy supposedly got in many fights. Little did you know, Black Minds Hampton. He gave him a couple hooks. Well, needless to say, this guy, he went to the hospital. And the cops came. They were like, they didn't know what exactly. But between Tawanda, between the neighbor, and between it was just in my house, this guy didn't have anything to fucking stand on. But I tell you what, the anger, the hatred that came from this guy, let alone the disrespect this guy had for me and Tawanda, was a microcosm that I seen among many other microcosms I've seen. But it's the micro that I seen that sadly is not micro no more. It's big. It's like everywhere. It's infected all these weak black-minded people. Like I just don't. And I say black-minded people because that's what they are. If you're not black, you're not one of them. If you're not black and you're dating another black, you're not one of them. If you don't talk black, then you're not one of them. If you don't write black, you're not. If you don't dress black, you're not one of them. If you don't vote the same way as a black person, you're not one of them. That's how collectivism blacks are now. Maybe they were like that too before the civil rights movement, which is why they were. But it was in positive manner. It was about how to come together and cherish each other, rather than how do we divide and conquer each other. I swear that's what it's like now. It's very interesting. So, in Linden, Alabama, a 9-year-old girl took her life. Here's one of the things that's said within the article. It says, she told me that this was one particular child was writing her nasty notes in class. The Mackenzie's mother said it was just things you wouldn't think a 9-year-old should know. Part of it could have been because she rode to school with a white family, she continued. And a lot of it was race. Some of the students' bullies would say to her, "Why are you riding with the white people? You're black. You're ugly. You should just die." Mackenzie's aunt, Edwina Harris, also told that's Tuscaloosa News, okay, about the racially motivated taunting. She was being bullied the entire school year with words such as "kill yourself," "you think you're white because you ride with that white boy," "you're ugly," "black, be it," the B, "just die," she echoed. The grieving family felt the school system failed her daughter. And she says, "I just felt that our trust was in them, that they would do the right thing," Adams told CBC 42. "And it feels like, to me, it wasn't done. We were working fully with the Demopolis? I have no idea. Linden Police Department. Must be some type of public safety. They are doing a joint investigation of the allegation," said school attorney Alex Broswell in the statement. Alright, so that's all I'm going to pretty much read straight from that article. If you guys want to go fulfill yourself on this article, again, it is at dailymail.co.uk. look up Alabama girl 9-year-old, and I'm pretty sure you will find it. But here's the thing. This is what I want. The school system failed your daughter. No. Your school system didn't fail your daughter. Your school was participating. See, this is my problem. Is when a school knows that a child is being bullied, and their actions are not removing the child that's doing the bullying by expulsion. That's what you do. You expulse them. You remove them completely. And then you find out why they're acting like that with the parents. And if you find the parents at all have any amount of aggression or tone, that's what you go with, the tone at that point. Because children's safety as a 100% is needed. And if parents do not have a good tone when trying to deal with their children's problems, there's a problem. I understand when things are heated in emotion. It's very understandable. And there's things that can be done to figure and curve all these things. Third parties, just middleman, essentially, things. I don't know. But I do know if you're being forced to send your kids to school, you should have some type of outlet to be able to bring all discussions to the table and force other people who are sending their horrible children to school because of their own horribleness. That's the thing. It's very simple. It's very simple. It's to curve a lot of this stuff, and the root cause is these parents. And the reason why I say the school is complicit in it, again, they had the entire school year. And if I was to guess, I'm assuming this probably was happening before this too, maybe last year. All right, and it makes you wonder, why was this other student even around this girl? If they were, or all these students, why? What? Why would the school do that? And then my next question is, why would a parent, or why would the grandmother feel like this was their only choice of going to the school? And what happened to homeschooling? What happened to the idea that homeschooling would be the next step if children weren't doing good in school? What happened to that? I don't know. It's like the encouragement of homeschooling has completely fell to the wayside. And at the most important times too. Like right now, I should say right now, but before the school started, or even after a month of the school started, if they'd known that she was being bullied like the way she was, and there was nothing being done after a month or after 2 months, you pull your kid out of school, you set up a lawsuit, and then you start homeschooling. All right, that's what you do, and you do the lawsuit for a couple reasons. For one, it gives you another reason to show, if anything comes up, why are you suddenly homeschooling your kids? Because there is some of those CPS cases where suddenly you're going to court because they're trying to claim neglect because you pulled your kid out of school, even though you're homeschooling. Like, what? So once you have all that type of stuff, oh man, it is ace in the hole. And these people, this is what you got to do too. Sadly, you got to fight for you and your kids. Because evil people do not care about your kids or you. Only for themselves. And sadly, most of them don't even care for their own kids. That's why most of them are boarding their own kids. Or the ones that give excuses for it. Ooh, their body, their choice. Well, sad enough you guys don't do that same thing for women. Sad to say you don't do that same thing for boys. And girls that are being born and raised in the Islamic faith, having their clitoris or their vagina mutilated. I don't even understand. It's bad enough males are foreskins being essentially hacked off without ever our choice, without ever our permission. Our body, our choice, right? These feminists, these people, they're evil people. You have to be evil to be this way. I don't know what else to wrap my head around it. You have to be evil, and you have to be a man hater. Just as much as, if you're destroying a woman's body, you must hate women to an extent. Just as well, if you are okay with removing the foreskin, you must hate men. And the fact that you guys don't stand up for both means that you must hate your fucking self. Excuse my French. Sadly, there's not enough talk about children and the abuse that they go through, and the fact that children literally just don't have a voice. And yet, after umpteen years of constant equal rights for women and the civil rights movement for the minorities, I mean, how many civil rights movement has been for children? How many burning bras movements have been for children? How many times have you ever seen a massive riot due to children being just mutilated? I mean, like, a good example is the Rotherham rape grooming that's happening over in the UK. I mean, you're talking a ton of women in a small local area. You'd think that all these people would be they would have just killed the police officers. You'd think they would have just killed the judges. I mean, all you gotta do is like 20 of them to get together and just go fucking hunt these motherfuckers down that keep on failing your guys' community and keep on essentially allowing these predators into your community and not giving these proper punishments to these predators. I don't understand. I mean, that's like, people have zero careness for children, and I don't understand why. There's something to it. It's like when there's like a really horrible like trauma in society, it seems like they care less about their children. But when things are like a golden state, when everybody's doing really well, children are like extremely protected, at least to an extent. I mean, there's countries that don't have, like, the children welfare systems that we have in America. But even those children welfare systems have been degraded, they've been abused, and they're not the same, like, or have the same intentions like they once did. But, and it's like, well, as you can see, over the last couple decades, things have gone downhill in certain, like, social, psychological areas, like happiness and welfare, success. Like, a lot of those things have gone down over several decades. And it just so happens that that's all correlated too with more people having more rights, more people having the right to vote, and essentially make or be part of the decision making of their country, even though they don't have any skin in the game. Isn't that interesting how young children, their future has pretty much been decided, even though their skin has yet actually been part of it, they're just thrown into it. And yet, it's interesting how just people just feel like they can If you like this podcast, please like and subscribe. If you don't like this podcast, please like and subscribe. Comment down below if you have any comments or advice. Thank you. Have a great day.